Today the wife and I called down at the local motorcycle dealership and checked out a couple of the new models. The first one offered was his new KTM 390 Adventure, which came in at $9,000 Australian. And here's a bit of a photo of what the bike looked like. Now the big surprise on the day, just right next to that bike, was a 2020 model Cb500x Honda. Now these are gone up in price since I bought the last one last year. I think last year's model was 8.9, and this particular bike came in at $9,500. Now I did have a bit of a close look at the Honda, and compared to the 019 model I had, I couldn't really notice any difference or anything added to the 2020 model, and it was the exact same colour I had, I think, which was some sort of a gunmetal metallic grey or charcoal, whatever they called it. But looking over the bike, it just looked 100% identical to the 19 model I had, I don't know, maybe less than 1 year. So first up, I jumped on the KTM, and for two reasons. One, it weighs in at 160 kilos, and two, it's got a seat height of 855. So I was a bit curious about this 855 seat height. For one, I'm at 5'9", 32-inch inseam, and lately I've been under a bit of stress over the last 7 weeks with a bit of health issues, and I'd sort of lost a bit of weight going from 84 kilos down to 75 with this bit of a health issue, and I was just wondering if I could sort of, one, still handle this bike and move it around all right after losing that bit of weight, which hopefully I'll get over shortly, and two, whether or not the seat height would be too high for me, and it'd cause a bit of a problem. Okay, so once on the bike, I found it to be a nice, comfortable place to be, really. It appeared to be nice and compact. Well, the bike is really compact. It seems like a lot smaller bike than what you first think once you see it in photos. It's bigger than the 390 Duke I had going back 6 months ago, but apart from that, it is nice and compact. You can notice a little bit of height in the seat, or I could at that stage, but it was nowhere near as scary as compared to, say, a couple of years back when I had the Honda rally bike. It was really... So I immediately then switched over to the Honda Cb500x, which, like I said, was parked right next to this bike, and I thought my luck was pretty well right with me to be able to get two bikes sitting right next to each other, and you could go from one bike to the other. And the first thing I noticed, how much bigger the Cb500x really felt, and you could tell that it was coming in at 200 kilos, and with the 835mm seat, the thing about that seat was you couldn't really pick much difference between both bikes. Like, it'd be a toss of the coin for me to say, did the Honda seem much higher than lower than the KTM, or did the KTM feel much higher than the other way around? It just was a toss of a coin. It was very close. So that answered my question on the Honda as far as the weight and the lower seat. So back over, I jumped onto the KTM again. So once back on the KTM, and at this time no one was bothering me trying to sell me a bike or anything like that, so I could go back and forth for 5 minutes or more. And I got back onto the KTM, and I thought to myself, this is a very comfortable bike to sit on, and I felt really at ease on it. And I thought to myself, while I was sitting there, I wouldn't mind going further with this particular bike, because I think this bike could be a lot better than what most people think it is. Now, when I say by what most people think it is, I really mean by what most people think of KTM as not being what you class as a reliable bike as far as electronics and stuff like that. But, like I've been involved with Enfields for quite a few years, and believe me, it's no picnic being involved with those bikes either, or especially the early models like the classic 500s, and compared to the later models like the Interceptors. So, I couldn't see a KTM being any worse than one of those. So I did jump back over onto the 500X again, and there's no doubt about it, the Honda's a really nicely built bike, but when I swung back looking back over to the KTM, I couldn't look over to the KTM and think it was just a bit of junk either. So it's a really a toss of the coin between both bikes as whether you want a KTM or a Honda, and the only thing about it, $500 separate them, and they both probably run about the same power, and it'd be just a matter of personal choice. So I didn't bother going speaking to the salesperson about it afterwards, and I just thought, oh well, I'd head off home, give it a bit of thought, decide which one that I might go for, and I think in the next 24, 48 hours I'll come to some decision and decide which one to go for, and I think one of those bikes I'll buy within that period of time and give it a bit of a workout and just see how it performs, and whether it's a mistake or a positive. So I suppose that's how my day unfolded today, and only time will tell what's going to happen on this side. But I think, having past experience on a Honda Cb500x, well, I know how well they are. Well, I've actually had two of those bikes, and I know how well the bikes go, and I have a KTM Duke, but when I bought that new, I only did 43 kilometres on it, so I suppose it wasn't a fair test. So time will tell what this unfolds, and stay tuned. And once again, thanks for calling into the channel, taking your time to sit back and have a listen to what they have to say, and hope you come back again and see what the final results of this saga is. And cheers and ride safe.